Suzuki. So is Hutson. Hutson, Suzuki. And a shot, he scores! Hey, what do you say?
It just got real for the Montreal Canadiens as they are now officially in a playoff spot for the first time in, well, a long time. And Lane Hutson continues his case for the Calder, now leads all rookies in scoring. That's right, he has more points than Michkov and Celebrini, getting a goal and 2 assists here tonight. You can see him work his magic on the assist in overtime, the assist to Dach, the goal off of Quinn Hughes. There is so much we got to talk about. Suzuki back to point per game, 40 points in 40 games. Caufield again, Jesse. Right now, this team is doing something that I think literally no one could have anticipated at the start of the season. We talked about how we wanted to see growth from this team, but to see this team be in a playoff spot this early in the season in January, after a stretch of games against the likes of Colorado, Tampa, Florida, Vegas, and now Vancouver. There's so many things going on right now. What are you feeling?
This is just absolutely wild. I am feeling so good right now. Like, this was a big one for me. Like, I know we've been riding like a couple big wins, but this one especially, being down 3-1, tying the game, given that late power play, Cole Caufield, to then tie it up, to then bring it in overtime. Like, this game just had absolutely everything, Josh. Like, the fact that we're even discussing playoffs, a good chance that the Habs could make the playoffs, and Lane Hutson winning the Calder right now, it just has got me just phenomenally excited. Like, if Lane Hutson continues to play like he is right now, having a 3-point night, I think very much being at the center of this win here tonight. Obviously a team win. We know that's been the secret. But the key players being those key players, Lane Hutson being Lane Hutson, if he continues to play this way, he absolutely will win the Calder. Like, he just shows he's trending at the right time, at the right direction, just like the Montreal Canadiens, trending at the right time, which is absolutely just phenomenal to see right now.
Like, that's the usually the Calder will go to, players that put up good points on, sometimes bad teams with bigger roles. But right now, Lane Hutson, if this team stays in the mix, look, the playoff standings can very well change. Before the end of the week, the Habs have a few days off. The Senators have 2 games in hand. It is what it is. But it doesn't matter. If Lane Hutson's playing for a team that is fighting for the playoffs, and he now leads all rookies in scoring. This was not updated. NHL.com takes a long time to update. I couldn't get a screenshot before we recorded, but he had 3 points tonight. As you can see right here, he is now number 1 in rookie scoring, more than Michkov, more than Celebrini. You're comparing him to bona fide number 1 superstar in Celebrini, getting crazy comps, and Matvei Michkov, who people were saying were one of the best offensive players in ages. Lane Hutson with 1 goal, 2 assists, plus 1, 25 minutes on ice, leading the team today, Jesse. And, the Calder, I think, is something we were talking about. Maybe he can get there, but it's not just, again, the fact that he's leading rookies in scoring as a defenseman, which is crazy that that's not where it ends. Again, what are your thoughts on his chances, especially considering he's on a team right now that is legitimately making a fight for the playoffs? Like, that to me just boosts your rookie status even higher.
If the season's ending today, tomorrow, you're giving the Calder to Lane Hutson.
Yep.
On account of him getting more points than Michkov, Celebrini, while also playing so well defensively. Like, he just did a little bit of everything this game. Of course, the star players being the star players, Heineman kind of jumping in when he kind of contributing to a goal there a little bit. Like, it was just absolutely, it's like, the thing about Hutson is he's just doing it when it really matters the most right now for the team. Like, not to be done by Hughes at all, to skate down, to bank it off him, and in there, it just, it's just being that difference maker that we come to expect. It just gives me so much faith just in Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon in this rebuild, right? Like, they're the ones that drafted Lane Hutson. They forever have my trust after that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Anyone saying he's not a superstar at this point, an offensive superstar at least, it's crazy. Like, this dude, like, one-on-one against Quinn Hughes, who looked better tonight? I'm just saying, now Quinn Hughes, to be fair, has been coming off an injury. He's been not feeling whatever. It doesn't matter. Lane Hutson looked like the better player tonight, which is crazy to say. Though Hughes is still absolutely amazing. So it's, anyway, I'm not gonna go too much further on that. But Lane Hutson's amazing, Jesse. But there's so many other guys we got to talk about. I want to talk about our boy Kirby just briefly because he's getting his mojo back. Another power play goal. It's another one of those like kind of weak ones, right? Like, didn't fully get it, just kind of tucked it 5-hole after another Lane Hutson effort. We're just gonna play all these things again because I'm never gonna get tired of seeing Suzuki snap that OT winner. We're gonna talk about him him. And Lane Hutson, of course, scoring this one off of Quinn Hughes, showing who the superior young defenseman is. But this play here by Hutson, again, just creating offense, and Kirby just being there, Johnny on the spot, right? We've seen goals like that from him, from Slav, but to see Kirby really getting back into his rhythm, scoring at a good pace. I didn't mean to play that again, but here it comes again. Here he comes again. Scoring at that pace right now is really, really looking good for him because he had such a brutal start to the season, but you can see that confidence slowly coming back every single night.
And the Montreal Canadiens really needed all of his 4 goals out of the last 6 games that he's played right now. Again, like he kind of deserved it too. He had a couple good opportunities tonight where Lankinen just had some huge saves on him. But Dach was kind of showing if you kind of keep playing the game right, you're putting some good quality efforts on net, eventually it's going to kind of work out for you. And like Kirby Dach was absolutely fundamental in this win, just how he has been for several of the last Montreal Canadiens games, right? It's like we need to have our best players being our best players. I keep coming back to like that team win where it's like we're not doing this without the first line, playing like that first line, but also Kirby Dach, you know, we're counting on that second line to be one of our best players. We then have that depth kind of coming in again, you know, obviously with the fourth line with Heineman, getting that offensive zone time. And that's really the makings of the win tonight, right? Where it's like lots of goals that are coming hot and heavy, but the Montreal Canadiens just showed like if they can just kind of stay in that game, you give them any sort of puncher's chance in a game, they're going to make you pay for it.
They're 8-2 in their last 10 now, and they're going head-to-head against incredible teams. Like Vancouver's in a wild card spot. They're a playoff team coming into this game, right? It's not like they're some slouch. Yes, I know they have some controversies going around JT Miller and Pettersson. By the way, JT Miller had 4 points in a 5-4 loss, so he played very well tonight, though he looked absolutely emotionless. Don't know what's going on there, but hey, you notice that he scored a goal and he's just like,
what was up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm not going to criticize him. Dude played a phenomenal game, but there's so many implications for Montreal too, Jesse, because looking at the past week, right? We had a 2-goal deficit in Vegas, came back and won that game. A 2-goal deficit against Vancouver, came back and won. Went into the third period down against the Colorado Avalanche when they were 16-0-0 on the season when having a lead going into the third period. The Montreal Canadiens won. You talked about fight earlier, but I think it's on a level that I don't think we could have anticipated, especially considering the players we've been missing for the past few games and Patrick Laine and David Savard. The fact that this team continues to fight. And again, we mentioned this in past videos. Earlier in this season, it was the fact that Montreal couldn't play a complete game. And hey, even today, the first half of that second period, that was rough. It was really rough, right? But they managed to lock back in, focus up. The guys are playing for each other. And again, I always go back to the defense, right? The stability that it brings with Guhle and Carrier and only allowing 20 shots on goal, which makes Monty's stats look much worse than he actually was tonight. But to talk about that fight and how, in my opinion, the defense can keep the Habs in the game, Jesse. Like, again, having that stability, I think, is allowing Montreal to play the style of hockey that they like to play the most, which is fast and free, and it's allowing them to come back in games that they might not have come back in even earlier this season and into last year.
And that's the big difference. They absolutely were not doing this earlier on in the season. You would see the Montreal Canadiens, they would allow that first goal. They wouldn't get the first one. They'd just be looking at each other on the bench like, okay, time to pack it in, boys.
Yep.
We had a good effort. It's not the same team now. They don't have that same mentality. They're being able to get wins, even if they're not scoring the first goal. Albeit this game, they did score the first goal. They needed to come back anyway. They still showed that same resilience, which is a big thing of growth over this team, right? The team really come together. But a big part of that, too, is it's also the mental game and really that confidence of just knowing, because the game of hockey doesn't change when you're down a goal, right? Like, it doesn't fundamentally change the dynamics of that, but it's the Montreal Canadiens knowing how to really play the game, kind of stay in there, not get too hard on themselves. But again, playing that system, for the large part, we're seeing, again, as you mentioned, it comes down to the defensive structure. There was maybe a blown assignment here or there, but again, we're not seeing anything crazy. That's really at the root of it, but also committing to playing that smart hockey, really that 200-foot game, which is really serving the Montreal Canadiens so well right now.
It really is. And speaking of 200-foot game, the final thing I want to talk about, holy crap, we've been talking for 9 minutes. It feels like 3. The final guy, Nick Suzuki. My gosh, what a game from him. We'll play that overtime winner again. Jesse, every year, it takes him fewer and fewer games to get to 40 points. He's now at 40 points in 40 games this season, with another 3-point effort being Montreal's best forward tonight by far. Slav had another bounce-back game on that top line, but to see Suzuki night in, night out constantly affect the team, even on games where you don't really notice him a lot, he seems to get points. 40 points in 40 games is just an incredible benchmark for him. He's on that point per game pace this early in the season. And don't forget, each of the last few years, like, he has not been on that point per game pace. I think it took him 48 games to get to 40 points last year. It's getting better and better and better. Caufield's getting better. He's got 21, 22 now goals. I'm still on pace for over 40. So to see Suzuki be able to come in, night out. I know he's the captain. I know we expect it from him, but just like, I don't know. I feel like he almost goes underappreciated sometimes when he makes this kind of crazy magic happen every single day.
Absolutely, night in, night out. And can we also give him some respect for his Ironman streak?
Yes.
Of being so consistent, not just of playing these games, but being so incredibly productive as he's doing so. He just continues to become a better and better version of himself. But just the fact that we can kind of rely on him, you know, like even if he's starting off a little bit slower in the season, we all know, hey, what have we seen from Nick Suzuki last year, you know, previous year? Like, this guy's going to score 30 plus goals. He's going to get his opportunities, you know? So it's all about being patient. And there were certain times this season where he took that responsibility, that ownership, saying, I need to be better. I need to play better. And it was, you know, he was the one that first kind of decided to make that change. And as a leader, the rest of the team slowly followed and kind of caught up with him. So again, absolutely phenomenal. Shout out to Slav, who's quietly getting points, being effective, you know, contributing that first goal to Caufield, you know, with obviously Zooks being involved in that as well. It's just huge for this team. He's finding a way to really contribute in ways that matter, you know, even though it's not loud all the time. These points, these goals are obviously the reason why we're getting the W tonight.
For sure. And just to clue out the video, forgot one thing. Now that we're back in the main studio, you know what it is. It's the Mitchell Stevens Player of the Game Award. Jesse, we didn't even discuss this before the video, but I think we're both on the same page. Are we giving it to our boy, the locomotive himself?
Yes, sir. You read my mind.
It's got to be the Lane Train. The Mitchell Stevens Player of the Game Award goes to Lane Hutson. Shout out to Mitchell Stevens. Shout out to Lane Hutson. Shout out to you for watching this video. And if you made it this far into the video and you haven't hit that subscribe button, we got daily Habs content just like this every single day. And they're just going to get better and better. So you're going to want to stay informed. And this is the spot to be. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.